Good morning. It's good to be with you on this Wednesday morning as we begin our time together in our daily rooted in Christ. Hope you are doing well today on this halfway through this second week of January. Before you know it, the year will be over. I hope you've started Christmas shopping. It'll be here before you know it. We're excited Wednesday night to be back at St. Matthew's for our Wednesday night live time together on Wednesdays. Is always a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to resuming my Bible study where we'll be looking ahead to this coming Sunday's messages. So we'll be looking ahead at our Matthew passage, Matthew 5, the Sermon on the Mount, being salt and light. So I'm looking forward to unpacking that or kind of looking ahead tonight in Bible study. So today we're going to actually going to read several sections. I thought about breaking these up into the individual sections they were part of, but I really think it makes more sense to look at Luke chapter 5. I'm sorry, Luke 21, verse 5 through 28. It's a lot, but I think it really is best to understand this section in one piece. So let's read Luke 21, 5 through 28. When some were speaking about the temple, how it was adorned with beautiful stones and gifts dedicated to God, he said, he being Jesus, as for these things that you see, the days will come when not one stone will be left upon another. It will all be thrown down. They asked him, Teacher, when will this be? And what will be the sign that this is about to take place? He said, Beware that you are not led astray, for many will come in my name and say, I am he. The time is near. Do not go after them. When you hear of wars and insurrections, do not be terrified, for these things must take place first, but the end will not follow immediately. Then he said to them, Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be great earthquakes in various places, famines and plagues. There will be dreadful portents and great signs from heaven. But before all this occurs, they will arrest you and persecute you and hand you over to the synagogues and to the prisons. You will be brought before kings and governors because of my name. This will give you an opportunity to testify. So make up your minds not to prepare your defense in advance, for I will give you the words and the wisdom that none of your opponents will be able to withstand or contradict. You will be betrayed even by parents and brothers, by relatives and friends, and they will put some of you to death. You will be hated by all because of my name, but not a hair on your head will perish. By your endurance, you will gain your souls. When you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then know that the desolation has come near. Then those who in Judea must flee to the mountains, and those inside the city must leave it, and those out in the countryside must not enter it. For these days are days of vengeance, and as a fulfillment of all that is written. Woe to those who are pregnant, and those who are nursing infants in these days. There will be great distress on the earth and wrath against this people. They will fall by the edge of the sword and be taken away as captives among nations. Jerusalem will be trampled by the Gentiles, till the time of the Gentiles are fulfilled. Now there will be signs to the sun and the moon and the stars, and on the earth in distress among nations, confused by the roaring of the seas and the waves. People will faint with fear and foreboding of what is coming upon the world, for the powers of the heavens will be shaken. Then they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. Now when these things begin to take place, stand up and raise your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. So I thought it'd be good to read all of Jesus' apocalyptic teachings here, Jesus' teachings in Luke about his return. Notice here he says, uh, then they will see the Son of Man coming in the cloud. Jesus calls himself the Son of Man. Remember, the Son of Man is an apocalyptic title that Jesus uses for himself when describing his return, describing the judgment that will come upon the earth, things such as this. So we see here Jesus teaching about the second coming. And there are a lot of things for us to consider when we see these things. He tells us in other places, no one knows the hour. We're called to be alert. And I think there's a tension when it comes to this. So on one hand, we're told no one knows the hour nor date. I think that's an important word because when you read these things, okay, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, earthquakes, various famines, plagues, like, oh, okay, well, this is all happening now. So, like, it's happening tomorrow. You better get ready. It's happening tomorrow. And I guarantee you, there's some preacher on some corner somewhere in the world saying it's coming tomorrow. So when we don't, he reminds us that we don't know the time nor date. So we don't need to get too caught up in worrying specifically about what the date will be or when it will be because people have been trying since his the reason why in biblical history, Paul's letters in the Bible predate the writing of the Gospels, even though historically Jesus came, was born, crucified, resurrected, ascended before Acts, before Paul's journeys. Paul's letters are actually a little bit older than the Gospels, and the reason being is because the first believers expected Jesus to return at any moment, and they didn't write the Gospels till later when it became apparent he wasn't going to return like that. So the very first Christians were like, he's coming back tomorrow. So they, and then you see in Thessalonians, there was this debate about people not wanting to work because they were waiting for the Lord return and they thought he would come back any day. So there's no point in working. So they didn't work back then. So people have been waiting for his return forever. It literally, since he left, he'll return at his time. So we don't want to get too caught up in waiting and trying to guess, rather, trying to guess the time. However, he could return tomorrow. Now, when these things begin to take place, stand up, raise your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. So we don't need to live lives infatuated with guessing when the Lord will return, but we need to live in the mentality of how Revelation wraps up. Maranatha, Lord, come quickly. I'm recording this on a Tuesday afternoon at 4 o'clock. I hope you never see it. You know, I hope the Lord returns before this goes live tomorrow at 5 in the morning. That'd be great. That's what we want. Do we live, do we live hoping that the Lord will return at any moment? Do we live with that hope of his imminent return? Do we live with the expectation of his return? Because sometimes we don't want to get too infatuated with it, but we do want to live with the expectation of it. We do want to live in that expectation. And so these things are second coming conversations are often seen. I talked about this a few weeks back. We often talk about the second coming as though it's like Jesus is the horror movie villain coming to snatch us and get us. But how does this passage end? It says, now when these things begin to take place, stand up, raise your heads, look up, because your redemption's drawing near. His return is not, he's going to come and get us. His return is he's going to come and save us, and all things will be set right. So don't be afraid. People love to do the second coming stuff, like the Lord's coming to get us, and it's going to be terrible. And he's like I said, I jokingly say this, but it isn't a joke. People like to portray the Lord in the second coming as some horror movie villain coming to get us. That's not what's happening. When we read his word, he's not coming to get us, he's coming to save us. So we need to live with anticipation and hope for his return. Of course, there's other good things here. 17 says you'll be hated because of my name, but not a hair of your hair will perish. By your endurance will gain your souls. So, don't be afraid of folks get angry at you. There will be difficult times. We see in Jesus' word not this notion that we will escape difficult times. We see this notion in Jesus' words that we will persevere through difficult times and that he will be with us in difficult times. So sometimes we like to think of suffering as something that we can avoid. But when we read the gospel, we see actually suffering is not something that we can avoid, but he will be with us in the suffering. And then, you know, we see that God is at work in all this. Times will be fulfilled, stuff will be fulfilled, and fear not. Raise your heads because your redemption is drawing near. So ultimately, when we read passages like this, as tempting as it is, or as we maybe even heard in previous sermons or devotionals or study, we read these words in fear, but that's not what Jesus wants. Jesus doesn't want us to read these words in fear. He wants them to read them in hope, knowing that our redemption does draw near. So be hopeful today, friends. Be hopeful. The Lord will return in his due time, and we will forever be with the Lord. Words to hope for. So, hey, thanks for being with us today. And tomorrow we're going to pick up with the rest of Luke chapter 21. Have a great day.